The New York Liberty have only been around since 1997, but they have brought home the most recent championship in New York sports. But when it comes to the franchise's best players, do we look at the team's history or current players bringing this team a new level of success? Here are Madeline Kenney and Dexter Henry with their picks for the Liberty Mount Postmore.
In my Liberty Mount Rushmore, I have Breanna Stewart, Tina Charles, Teresa Weatherspoon, and Becky Hammon. And the reason why I have these four is that they all are part of different eras of the team. Obviously, there is some overlap with like Becky Hammon and Teresa Weatherspoon, but those are like the OG, original Liberty fans from 1997 that have been there from the start. They know those names. And you should know those names even as a casual fan, because both of them are Hall of Famers. Obviously, Becky is coaching at the Aces now and has won 2 titles there. But they were kind of part of that era of the Liberty where they got to the finals but never got over that hump of actually winning a title. Teresa Weatherspoon, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, arguably one of the greatest, would be on a WNBA Mount Rushmore potentially. Becky Hammon, she just has that high basketball IQ. She's been in the game for a long time. Great player. Then we moved to the Tina Charles era. Again, one of the best post players in the game, even to this day. She's with the Sun now, and she's just so talented and has a bunch of accolades to back it up. She was an MVP before she came to Liberty. She's the all-time leading scorer for the Liberty right now. And when you look at the list of all-time records for the Liberty, you're going to see Tina Charles all over it. And then lastly, I have Breanna Stewart. And the reason why I have Breanna Stewart is because she was this signing that really pushed the Liberty into this era that they're in right now. Obviously, they won a title last season. She had a huge part of that. She is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. She really is part of setting that standard that they continue to talk about. The Liberty don't talk about having a championship culture necessarily. They talk about this standard. And she was a big reason for setting that and establishing that type of standard and bringing this team together so they could have finally, get over that hump after going to 5 WNBA finals, if I remember correctly, over the course of their first 20 plus years in the league and finally winning.
So when it comes to the New York Liberty's Mount Postmore and finding the 4 most impactful women or greatest women in the history of the franchise, this was one I had to do some really deep diving into, because you've got some real recent success with the Liberty, and then you also have the success that they had at the start of their franchise's history. And when I look at this as sort of a good balance, I think, between both the past and the present right now for the New York Liberty. So for me, on their Mount Postmore is the great Teresa Weatherspoon, fantastic guard who won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards in 1997 and 1998. She led the Liberty to 4 WNBA final appearances. Unfortunately, was not able to win one. Also was an Iron Woman, started 220 consecutive games, is one of the great players in franchise history. She's still the franchise leader in assists. She's also the franchise leader in steals, and the great defensive player that she was. And Teaspoon, whenever she comes back to the Barclays Center, will get a loud ovation. She is one of the greatest Liberty players of all time. Then you have to look at Tina Charles, who was a player in an era for the Liberty that was obviously never able to get past the second round and not able to get to the WNBA Finals, but she is the franchise's all-time leader in points and rebounds, one of the great scorers all time. She's also a native New Yorker, so that adds a little bit to it, but she's one of the great Liberty players of all time, just unable to get to the mountaintop. So there's your past with the Liberty, and then you kind of get to the present now. We know the Liberty won a title in 2024, and that team was led by none other than Breanna Stewart. And Breanna Stewart already is one of the great Liberty players of all time. In her short seasons here with the Liberty, it's now in her 3rd season, but she did win an MVP here. She's been a multiple-time all WNBA winner, has the title, was the best player on a team that won a title. There is no doubt she is one of the greats. And the last spot is always the spot you have trouble, determining who is going to get here. And there was a couple names for me here, because you could look at Becky Hammon, who ranks in the top 10 and 5 in a lot of categories for the Liberty. You could also look at Vicki Johnson, one of the great scorers on their early teams, also went to 4 WNBA finals. But for me, I had to go with Sabrina Ionescu. Already in her 5 seasons, she's in the top 10 in multiple categories for the Liberty. She's been a 3-time All-WNBA second team winner, also a 3-time All-Star. She just recently became the Liberty leader in 3-point field goals made. She's one of the great shooters in history, one of the great scorers in history. She's one of the best 3-level scorers in the WNBA right now. So she gets the final spot on the Mount Postmore list for the New York Liberty.
All right, so here's our official Mount Postmore for the Liberty. Teresa Weatherspoon, Breanna Stewart, Becky Hammon, and Tina Charles. Should Sabrina Ionescu be up there or any other names? I don't know, guys. You tell us. And make sure to subscribe to Sports Plus so you don't miss any of our Mount Postmore series.